Srikanth Ramesh sir. Sundaramurthy sir, kindly mute your audio. Sundaramurthy sir, can you hear us? Kindly mute your audio. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Mr. Chandrakuti sir, you are in the presentation mode. Kindly change it. Thank you, sir. Dear participants, you can find Sagayam sir ID below. Sir marked it in the brackets Sagayam UAE presentation. Kindly pin that so that you won't get any disturbance. You able to view sir's PPT PowerPoint presentation. Kindly pin Sagayam UAE bracket presentation.
Salaman sir, kindly repeat the instruction.
Sure, Father.
Yeah.
Dear participants, those who didn't get the certificates for the previous session, kindly send mail to our HOD.com at St. Joseph College AC.in. We have provided a mail ID for you. Kindly send mail if you are not received your certificates for previous sessions.
Very good evening to you all. St. Joseph's College. Often find important of
Father, there is break in your voice.
Yes.
Father, no Father, some breakage in your voice, Father.
Coming for me. Check. Hello.
Yes, Father. Fine, Father.
Okay. Dear participants, very good afternoon to you all. St. Joseph's College Arts and Science, PG Department of Commerce is organizing international webinar series, the second day in our series, and the St. Joseph's College is AMD sister congregation. So on behalf of Reverend Father Dr. J. Arulraj, our founder and chairman, and our administrator, Reverend Sister Dr. K. Sandhya, our principal, Dr. Ruben, our vice principal, Mrs. Shamala Alexander, all the vice principals, all the HODs and staff members, and all the participants. We are happy to welcome you all. So now I invite you to be in the presence of the Lord. So this is the time to welcome, and it's our pleasure to invite Reverend Sister Dr. K. Sandhya to pray for us and to bless us to have the wonderful webinar series. Yes, sister, you are most welcome to say a prayer and bless us to have this webinar. Salman sir, sister Kangla.
Father, 1 minute, Father. இல்ல Father, sister ID இல்ல Father. இல்ல.
Okay. Let us all close our eyes. Let us invite the presence of the Lord among us. Abba Father, Almighty God, we thank for the gift of St. Joseph's College, and we thank for the gift stater, our principal, and all our staff members. And it's your grace we are conducting international webinar series. Lord, send your spirit upon us. You are the source of wisdom, you are the source of knowledge, and you are everything for us. In a special way, we surrender our resource person, Mr. Sahayam, into your hands. The our Lord, Amen. Now I invite Mrs. Vidyasri to deliver the welcome speech.
Good afternoon, everyone. I welcome you all for the day 2 second session program of webinar series. Welcome you on behalf of our founder, Reverend Father Dr. J. Arun Raj, Administrator Dr. K. Sandhya, Principal Dr. Ruben, our Vice Principals Mr. Shyamala Alexander and Mrs. Vijay Lakshmi, and the Department Head Reverend Father Dr. Adikalasamy, and staff members of PG Department of Commerce. It's my great pleasure to welcome Mr. K. Sahayam. He's working as a Director, Information Technology, Al Habtoor Motors, which is one of the leading automobile distributors in the UAE. To go with today's topic, our speaker is going to give us all an insight knowledge on power of DX. We feel he is the right and eminent person to proportion it along with his personal experience with us. I welcome you all again and I hand over the session to the speaker. Thank you.
Dear Sakayam sir.
Good afternoon.
Yes.
Good afternoon, all of you. Dear all participants, let me once again welcome Reverend Father Dr. Adikalasamy and the other dignitaries and the management members from St. Joseph College, and welcoming the rest of the people who join. Let us meet in the digital world for the next 1 hour and try to learn something. And I would like to thank you everyone for this opportunity. And let me introduce myself. I am Sahayam, head of the department IT operations in Habtoor Motors in UAE. This is one of the well-known motor division and motor group in UAE who handles Mitsubishi, Bentley, Bugatti and McLaren cars, distributing the entire country. And I started, let me give you a little bit of a background about myself. I am the outcome of 1988 batch of engineering of electronics and communication in those days. And then I moved my career from there to IT side. And this was way back in 1989, 91. Spent some time in New Delhi. Thereafter, I moved to Muscat. Then I moved to Saudi for some time. Now I am back here in UAE for 10 years working with this company. and I look after all the IT requirements for my company within UAE. Now, on today's topic, people might have confused that when we are talking about DX meaning in medical term, it is you might have seen in medical report, people write DX. DX is meaning for some diagnostic related. And in IT world, DX meaning into two different aspects of it. One is DX, we call it as a digital experience. The other one is we call it a digital transformation. The buzzword in IT, CX and DX. CX, it's customer experience, and DX, digital experience or digital transformation. The definition of DX is applying new technologies to radically change processes, customer experience, and value. DX also allows organizations to become digital native enterprise that support innovation and digital disruption rather than enhancing the existing technologies and models. That's a short definition. And then now we will go into the actual presentation from here. What are the different stages of DX? There are 4 stages one can reach to the completely digitally transformed enterprise. The first thing is empower the employee, then optimize the operations, engaging the customers, and transform the products and services. Now, there are other elements in my slide. I'm not going to go through all the individual bars on this slide. I think after the presentation, we will share the presentation doc, and you can see what are the different elements in various stages. Now, let's talk about the human behavior. Human behaviors, in this case, workforce who work for enterprises, and the consumers who consume the product or services in digital world. Now, we have categorized into 5 different block. You have seen that people who born before 1946, they call it as traditionalist. People who born 1946 to 1964, we call them as baby boomers. People born between 1965 and 1979, we call them Generation X. And people who born 1980 to 1994, they are millennials. And people who born 1995 to 2010, we call it Generation X. Okay, for the purpose of concentrating on the presentation, I'm going to switch off my camera now. I'm going to switch off my camera now so that you can see my presentation rather than in the camera on my face. Okay. Let's see the characters set. The communication and the feedback needs from these various block of people. The traditionals always say that no news is good news. And the baby boomers say that performance reviews once in a year, they are okay. Generation X, frequent performance and honest feedback they expect. The millennials, they expect the immediate feedback. Very interestingly, the Generation Z, who born from 1995 to 2010, they are very frequent. They expect the feedback face to face. They need something now. The working styles for traditionalists, they will do whatever you ask them to do. The baby boomers, they will compete and grind our way to top. Generation X, independent, divide and conquer approach. Millennials, they are highly collaborative, vocal, speaking up to the point. But Generation X, they are self-directed. You tell them to do something, they won't listen. They have their own way of doing things. They are self-directed. It's not bad thing. They are self-directed, independent approach to learning. So how do they motivate their priorities? Traditionalists usually they treated fairly past time. The baby boomers recognizing staying relevant and useful, and Generation X, they make a provision. Millennials, they find community, meaning, and meaning and purpose, meeting the people. They are bit more collaborative, as I mentioned earlier. And Generation is at supportive leaders, meaning and purpose. So what is their work value and expectations? The traditionalists say that who born before 1946. Okay, the traditionalists who born before 1946, they say that I am at my workplace for 8 hours. If necessary, I will stay late to complete the work and then go home. The baby boomers will say that I am at my workplace for 8 hours, maybe 10 hours I will spend. If necessary, I will take work to home. But the Generation X people say that I try to complete my work at the office. If necessary, I will take it to home. But the millennials say that work-life integration, they do 24/7. I work until 5 and then it's a long night and I will get it done. This is what they do, the millennials category. But Generation Z, I don't want to think about work after working hours. So what do? They really work and life balance. They want to spend their personal time. They also wanted to finish their work as quick as possible. Now, what is the digital transformation economy and the tech trends driven by these two category of people? Here you can see that there are two category of people right now ruling the majority of the workforce in the world. So their behavior matters for doing a digital transformation. So the millennials always, they are the one who likes the smart home. They do the wearables of voice and data. They like to have a new business model. They like to grow in cloud computing, AI, IoT, etc., etc. But then the generation of Z, who born after 1997, they always wanted to get connected. They just wanted to access something quickly. And they would like to have one band, one experience approach. So basically, the generation of the generation of Z and the millennial, they are more into a digital world today. They are the one who have experienced so-called WhatsApp, the social medias, and rest of things. They are the one who are enjoying the current digital world. Now, 68% of the population in 2020, currently, they are either millennials or Generation Z, which means that there is a huge potential of enterprises to move from the current technology status to the completely digitally oriented or digitally supported enterprises. And this is the world where we are currently living in. Now, what are the different accelerators that will help to do a digital transformation growth, and what is currently trending right now? People who are in IT field, they very much know that people who are talking about LAN and WAN, internet and client server, those days are gone. There is the infrastructure platform is currently on the decline stage. It is going down. But as far as the next level of platform that enables the digital transformation, currently those are all cloud, mobile computing, big data analytics, and social business. And these accelerators are going upward. And most of the companies, they are moving away from client server based to cloud computing. And most of the clients and most of the enterprise, they would like to do the business through the mobile. Big data analytics is another one of the top area where it collects loads and loads of information. And through those information, the company or the enterprise can customize the experience for the end user. Social business, you don't need to talk about it. Everybody knows what we can do with WhatsApp, what we can do with Facebook, what we can do with Twitter, Instagram, and so on. And this is one of the top accelerator currently in India and rest of the world, where people are more and more using. And people who even don't know anything about the social business,
There is no PPT.
people who even don't know anything about the social business, they create at least Facebook. I mean, if you ask, the number of people who join in this group, I'm sure that everyone will have one or the other social presence. Okay. And many times it's good, and sometimes it's bad. Sometimes it's bad if you are using it in a wrong, if you are using it in a wrong way. Okay, better. Somebody was releasing the audio. I was just waiting for them to cut. Okay, thank you. Now, the next innovation accelerators are cognitive systems, robotics, currently 3D printing, next generation securities, Internet of Things, and of course, virtual realities, augmenting realities, and so on. And this area is one of the area currently is in very, very fast trending at this point in time. And majority of the workforce is right now is automated. RPA has become very common in IT industry nowadays. The robotic automation process that allows 10 people do the same job, and one robotic can do a 10 people job with perfection. So this is one of the area currently IT is now trending on. 3D printing, everybody knows nowadays. This is also another area of upcoming. Next generation security. Security is a major concern anyway, because when you start moving most of your things towards digitally, security is the area where you need to really concentrate. And unless you put a next generation security on place, you will not be able to succeed on your digital transformation. Those days are gone. You have a traditional firewall, traditional proxy. You can block unwanted traffic coming to the enterprises. These are very simple things that is now moving away from there to AI-based general securities. AI-based security is nothing but it will study the incoming traffic, and based on the incoming traffic behavior, it applies the logic to stop the unwanted traffic coming into either enterprise or to any other e-commerce portal or to any other database structure you may have for your analytical purpose and processes. Internet of Things is one another area. The whole world is now moving on. Things can be remotely, anything which are not directly connected to electronically can be now connected through electronically and controls. And one of the area I would say that even in India, agriculture is one of the area where people implement this Internet of Things very well. You can remotely control your water distribution. You can manage your water distribution. You can manage your securities. You can also manage your visual security across your agriculture land. You can control your perimeter. You can control your entrance, things like that. This was not possible 10 years before. And now this is one of the area. Now currently, people are doing a lot of experiments, a lot of research is going on. Parallelly, things that can be done is already on the way. I think this is the area where this will come up with, big way. Now, the funding process. How do you do a digital transformation from the current spending to a new way? Not every organization they just straight away spend a digital transformation change. Now, 54% of GCC's CIOs say that they are cutting the infrastructure expenditure and they are moving that infrastructure expenditure towards digital transformation. That itself shows that most of the organization, they are on the verge of moving from the current setup to the new digital transformation area. And as you can see that the 29% line of business, they say that they move 29% of budget to digital transformation. And most of the IT organization, they have 48% of the budget that is allocated for digital transformation. But in overall, 54% of the total IT expenditure now going towards the IT digital transformation. Now, what the CEOs are thinking about this DX driving? What are their agenda? The CEOs, 16% of the CEOs say that our customers are demanding it, so we are going for digital transformation. Why? Some of the customers say that, okay, instead of I go to the standard web portal or e-commerce, if I have the social media integration or the social media entrance to your product, then I would love to do a business with you. So 16% of the customers are really demanding. And another 16% of CEOs, they say that, okay, the competitions are doing, so we are doing it. Another 20% of CEOs, they say we expect things to be improved for the earnings so that you could have a better result. 25% of the CEOs, they say that there are new market entrants providing digital offering and experience. So we concentrate on digital transformation. And 19% they say that we are intending to disrupt the market, so we are working on it. So what are the top 3 digital transformations benefits? There are 3 benefits in summary. Revenue increase from current product and services. It will bring up the cost efficiency. It will also bring up improved productivity. And what are those areas where this will contribute to these 3 different benefits we get through a digital transformation? AI and data, applications, trust, edge and cloud, and ecosystem. And these are the components that will help to achieve the top 3 digital transformation benefits. Now, I put this slide just to give some perspective. Earlier, people were thinking about only commodities. Okay, you have a coffee beans, you take your coffee beans, grind it, use it. In 20-25 years before, people never thought about Nescafe. Then the Nescafe came. Today, there are people who are addicted to drink McCafe, go to McDonald's, take McCafe, at least in this part of the world, and to Europe and US. And there are some people who really love the experience, you know, what kind of experience they have. Now, they don't worry about what kind of product you have in the box. They only worry about the experience. And this is what we are the current generation of Z, they are all interested to. Okay, they see good experience in any product, they will live with it. Now, we have seen in the second slide where I have mentioned that workforce and the consumer, these are the two part of the main components in human who can actually achieve the digital experience. So first part is the employee part, the second part is the consumer part. So let's talk about what we need to do for employees in any organization. Let's say that for the employee experience is very, very critical to any business outcome, as you all know. So what would happen in any organization in order to have the digital experience to spread across the workforce? There are three main components we are talking about: people, process, and technology. Now, when you have people, process, and technology, you put together, you will get a better digital experience. And then product and service innovations and direct customer experience. Now, there will be always a gap between the IT and the end users. The IT says that 98% of IT response say that we provide the good digital tool to the end user to successful at their job. But the 50% of the employee who say that no, we don't have a sufficient tool to perform our job. I think most of the IT people who are here, they would definitely experience this. So there is always a gap. So what do we do with this? We definitely need to concentrate and more closer with the business. And rather than we just give us our own solution, we understand the business, put the customer experience first, the consumer experience first, and then go towards developing applications, modern management styles, automation, etc., etc. Now, if you drive from the consumer experience side, I'm sure IT will be much closer to the business, employees, and the consumer, and then they will realize what IT can do, what the digital transformation can do. I put some sample example slide here. This company is called Fridays, and this is one of the famous chain in US. And their mission is this: they want to understand their guests at the individual levels and engage with them in a personalized fashion, which means that when a customer walks into the shop, they would know that what this customer is liking, because earlier this customer would have visited more times, they would have collected the data, keep that data, customize it based on his liking. So when the customer comes in, They provide the service based on his liking. When they provide the service based on his liking, customer will get delighted. Now, I'll give a small story that had happened to me. I experienced this. 1 year before, I happened to go to China, and at that time there was no corona, so God save me. I went to China to see the factory of Hikvision. Hikvision, most of you know that they are mainly producing the cameras, security cameras. Nowadays, they are into other area where they are producing some of the security other devices. So I went to the factory, and first time, before I went to the factory, you used to share my photos and my profiles and blah, blah, blah. So we are 7 CIOs went from UAE to visit the factory. So when we visit the factory, in the front entrance, as soon as we enter, there was a big digital panel which shows that welcome Mr. So-and-so. And it actually puts my name there. Welcome, Mr. Sahayam. I was just wondering. I just asked them, what do you do? And it was, by the way, people were not going in order. We were just going one after another, and the system showing welcoming individual names. And I was wondering, what's happening here? And they said, well, there is an engine in the camera, which is an AI engine, recognize your face, match your photograph, and then showing your name there. And I just astonished. I said, that's fantastic. And then the same camera also tells if I am male, female, in this case male, and the age group. And it was correctly calculated my age between 50 to 55. And it was giving an age band. And that kind of technology we are talking about. In China, let me also tell you, in China, every junction in every road, you will see minimum 10 to 15 cameras fixed in different angle, different type of cameras, and different ways of, and what it is actually essentially doing, it is collecting the data. People moving across in the road, it is collecting the data. Now, I came to know that by collection of this data, they know who is driving the car and what is the car number, whether the driver is male, female, and in many cases, it also identifies the face. So people cannot do mischiefs on the road, and they cannot, they are not like our regular traffic system we go through in India. So I'm sure that, one day in India, this will also come up. Nowadays, I know the situation. You keep one camera, the camera will be stolen. So you need to keep another camera to monitor the other camera. And that's the kind of situation we are going through. But I'm sure over a period of time, we will reach to the stage where the information of individuals are collected for good. Well, it should not be used for a wrong way, but it should be used for a good way. So it will also analyze so many other things. It will also identify the speed. It will also see the pattern of how somebody is walking. It is also controlling the signal. If some, the old woman just walking and she's just entering the lane, then immediately it stops the surrounding lights so that no vehicles cross over. Things like that. And we were talking about such a digital experience technology and collection of data and using that data for good. Now, let me move on to a little more related to my industry. For car manufacturing, most of you know that they have very long span of release. To release one car, it takes minimum 4 to 6 years to launch a car. What do? They first of all, they set up a platform, then they start designing. They just put the first model design, then the model design will be launched, then customers will give some feedback, then they modify the design, then they go into OEM. The OEM then do a planning. Once the planning is over, then it goes to the OEM for production. In production, you know that even in the last 20-25 years, most of the production units are handled by robotics anyway. But even then, it takes 4 to 6 years. And thereafter, shipping, inventory, and finally it reaches to dealer and services. So the span for a vehicle to reach from right from the design to the factory, it takes minimum 4 to 6 years. So the data, so in order to have a collective data, you need to have a data, the last 4 to 6 years, the data in a single repository, in order to then see the customer behavior once the vehicle is on the road. Then they collect the data, then they decide next time what kind of changes they required on the car. So they may come up with another model, another changes in the car, etc., etc. So it's a long span of time to produce a car, and the car comes and hit the road. But then what happens currently? Currently, the passenger economy ecosystem looks more or less completely automatic. Now, the cars are connected to software. Most of the cars, I'm sure that even in India, most of the recent cars you can connect with Google, you can connect with Microsoft, you can connect with Apple platform, and one way or the other, the car can be connected to the cloud. Now, autonomous vehicle is another area where the vehicle will run its own, and there are more and more experiments are done in US and Western world. And I am sure that over a period of time, autonomous vehicle will come and hit the road. But to hit this autonomous vehicle in Indian roads, it will take very, very long time, because what is required in autonomous vehicle to run on the road, you really need a proper controlled environment way path. If you don't have a proper road and proper control on the road, autonomous vehicle is not going to work. Okay, and some of the initiatives here, the Road Transport Authority in UAE, they have also launched a few autonomous vehicles. They have launched autonomous helicopter, a small helicopter. It can pick up people and drop in another people in the case of emergency and so on. There is an autonomous taxi, but it's not yet in full blown. I mean, it will take some time to replace the traditional transportation system or traditional vehicle to autonomous vehicle, and it will take some time. But it will take, definitely, it will happen one day. As you know that doing the insurance service or any other safety diagnostic or purchase and payments of vehicle, nowadays everything is digital. And 10 years before, to do an insurance, somebody has to come visit, and he comes with a small paper, see your vehicle, take a photograph, and then the paper goes back to the office, and then it takes very, very long time to complete the whole process. But today, everything is digital. You just go, take your picture, upload online, apply it. You will get within a minute, do a payment online, within a minute, you will get a certificate. Now, most of the governments currently doing the digital transformation activities, mainly they do a regulation, because this is one area. Most of the governments in the world, they are working very hardly to put up a regulation, because this is very, very important. If you don't have a proper regulations on the digital transformation, on the digital world, to control the digital world or to service to the digital world, it is going to be a kiosk. So most of the governments are working towards having a digital regulations in place. And some governments have already done. For example, in UAE, we do have some digital regulations. We do have very good digital regulations as a startup. Then we are talking about the digital transport infrastructure, roads, highways, public work and public transportation, and government and education fleets. For example, the education fleets here in UAE, most of the buses, they have cameras, security cameras that are linked to the central system. So in case if there is some uneven things happens within the bus, then they will come to know immediately. There are cases and there are few incidents where the drivers misbehave, and that was controlled and monitored by these cameras, and they have taken the necessary actions. And this will continue for the in future for the public transportation in other buses. And I'm sure that now the metros have cameras, but now the rest of the regular transport systems, you don't have a proper control or security camera, and there is no data coming in. So over a period of time, when IoT is become very famous and common, this IoT plus AI together will collect a lot of data from this public transport system, and that will help. Somebody's sound is coming. Can someone mute? Hello? Thank you. Thank you. So digital transport infrastructure is now booming in, and over a period of time, you will have a complete control on a public transport system. And this will be connected to your backend infrastructure. It will collect a lot of data. Through that data, you can analyze, do better things, control, monitor. So all the criminal activities which are happening currently can be very much controlled. Also can analyze the efficiency of the driver, the efficiency of the efficiency of the vehicle, whether the tire pressure is on proper way, fuel is enough, which direction the vehicle is going, etc. So you can do a number of things by collecting the data from this kind of transporting system through through AI or IoT digitally. Now, there's one other concern we are now, I mean, the whole IT world is now worried about is fake IDs, fake information, security. Now, by 2025, most of the media enterprise will invest 1% of their advertising revenue for auditing and rating their service based on AI and digital right management to guarantee the veracity of their information. And this is very this is one of the worrying thing, but this is something which we need to do. This is something which we need to do anyway in order to have a successful digital transformation. Now, there's another challenges we have. The connected world currently, you have connected people from 6.5 billion from 2018 to 9.2 billion by 2023. The connected things, there are about 22 billion in 2018, will reach to 35 billion in 2023. Connected time from 21 hours to 32 hours in 2023. But then 85% of consumer facing business fail to incorporate connected element as their channel to market. This is purely because of the connectivity issue in some countries. Because when you are going for a digital transformation, you need to have a connectivity all the time. If you don't have a connectivity, you cannot succeed in this area. You may be able to succeed internally, but not externally. So what happened in future of work? I mean, when we are talking about all these, people will be worried about their jobs, and people also will be worried about what will happen in future when you go for a digital transformation. 80% of the task will be reinvented. The way currently is being doing will not happen in future, because this will be done in a different way. And it will be either digitized or eliminated by 2024 using intelligent tech like RPA, AI, IoT, blockchain, and so on. What are the top 10 different future skills that is required in order to meet this market? You need to have really creativity, emotional intelligence, analytical thinking, active learning, judgment and decision making, interpersonal communication skills, leadership skills, diversity and cultural intelligence, technology skills, and embracing change. And you can think that, can one do all these things really? It's very difficult. It's very, very difficult. To have somebody who can do this, he's going to be a genius. And you may not have genius all over the place. So this is where the AI will come into play, and AI will replace humans at creative tasks. Robotic activity will come into play, and they can really disturb the world in future. And you will see more and more. And you have seen that in some restaurants in India, they use robotics for serving food. And you will also see most of the delivery activities now are going to happen through the robotic drones in future. Now, 80% of the job that will exist in 2030, we have not heard about it. Titles will change. You will not see a normal IT director, IT manager, programmer, application developer. Those titles will get changed, and they will be called differently. For example, I just listed out 6 titles, and you can go through what are all these titles about when I share the doc at later days. Title like Chief Amazement Officer, title like Passion Broker, title like Human AI Ambassador, title like Chief Ethics Hacker, title like Robot Choreographer, Digital Credentialist. And these are some of the job titles emerging, and you will see more and more such job titles will increase, and then your traditional job titles will go, which means that we are moving towards completely on transforming to digital. Now, what is the new reality today? Are people working in laptops? Are people working in just PCs in enterprises? No. Everybody wants to work either from their mobile or from their tab. And the employee thinking is changed, customer behavior is changed, everything is changed. So the new reality is everything people think about is some way or the other, the digital transformation is in it. So let's face it. So what happened in future? I give a couple of slides just for your thinking. You can control your curtains, your ambience, your lights. You can control through mobile. Now you have apps that can control your lights, that can control your ambient of your room. It can also control your AC. The curtain can, you can move the curtains, stuff like that. And this technology is already available. And this home automation is already available. And in most of the, I think, metropolitans, there are consultants who can do this job, but it will take some time to come to the rest of the India. Another thing, now one step ahead, instead of mobile, now you can instruct. The voice instruction can be given, and whatever you achieve through the mobile, you can achieve through just saying something. You know that Alexa, you know that Siri, and these are equipments. They can learn your voice. They can take your information, pass on that information to internet, and then get things done. It can pass on information to the processor, controller, to do whatever you ask them to do. So basically, there is an AI in it. It learns what you are trying to speak to these devices. It grabs that information, pass that information as a data. Then the data goes to the controller. Controller then controls your lights, your AC, your fridge. Maybe at later days it will start cooking. We don't know. We will have to see. So if it starts cooking, good enough. And ladies, they don't have to work in home. Let's see where we land. The key elements to enable the HyperX is by 2024, over 33% of IT spending will be directly for digital transformation and innovation, which is about 18% higher than compared to 2018. So, in a nutshell, the entire world is moving towards digital transformation. And I can also pick up a few examples that had happened in the past in India. I remember I think in the last two election, I don't want to name the party name. One of the political party, they use these digital transformation or digital presence very well. And they have taken this digital experience to the rurals, to the people. They all loved it. Whether it is true or not, that is a different matter of, whatever they told in the digital platform is true or not. This is something which we don't want to debate now. But as far as experience is concerned, they've taken this digital experience to the rural, to individual people. So what they have done, they have gained more and more trust by seeing this digital media, by seeing this, by experiencing this digital experience. And they have voted, large amount of people voted for that particular political group. So see the impact, what kind of impact. So in IT world, people who are thinking currently, they should always think more about not just a developing application, not just moving LAN to WAN and increase the WAN speed or change your server or change. It is all about AI, IoT, blockchain, and future technology. Also give a nice experience to the customer. Think about customer perspective. Today, we are talking about somebody going to the website and fill up the form is very, very old way of doing things. Somebody is going to the website, doing some product click. The backend should automatically know that this guy interested in what. So next time when he logins, he will actually see the detail of the things which he has earlier clicked 2 days before. Some of you might have experienced. You go on search for some car or something, and then after 2-3 days, you go to the Facebook, you will see that car appearing there with a price, with something, which means that some engine is working in the backside to collect the information, to collect the behavior of the customer, and then portray it, process it in the backside, and then put that information back to the customer to attract the customer to do the business. And this is the kind of world we are living with. So all the IT aspirants who are working, currently studying or working, think about it. Think about the digital transformation. Digital transformation is something which you cannot avoid. What is transformation? Change. Change will never change. So you will have to change your pattern of working, pattern of study, to move from digital, from currently where we are, to the next level. And that's what going to rule the world very soon. Now I'll leave it a bit. There are a lot of subset of information which I don't want to go into due to the current due to the limitation on the timeline. I would like to close my presentation right now. What is it done? Let me close this way. Be prepared to take risk, change thinking, lead through unknown. Okay? மாற்றம் ஒன்றே மாறாதது. Think about it. Move from your current stage to a digital transformation. Once you move to the digital transformation, who knows, after 2-3 years, something else will come. But IT will keep on changing, transforming forever. And thank you, gentlemen and ladies. And thank you for the, St. Joseph College management. And now I will close here, and I will wait for if any questions are there, and I will try to address.
Thank you so much, sir. Really, it was very interesting and innovative talk, and we are really happy about your presentation. Now we have very important questions, like Varadaraj from Nellore. He was asking, what is distinguish between innovation and intervention in digital transformation. Can you give some explanation about between innovation and intervention in digital transformation?
I think I'm not sure whether he is talking about intervention or interruption. People talk about interruption more, and intervention everybody knows. I mean, innovate, change the process or do things in a better way rather than just upgrading the things whatever you have been doing. You try to do something totally different. For example, how Facebook came into the world, nobody thought about it, and that was a innovative thinking. Facebook is something nobody thought about it about 20-25 years before, and today they are ruling the world. So that is innovation. Intervention, it means, I mean, anything you intervene is intervention. But I think what he is trying to ask is interruption. Interrupt. Today in IT world, everybody talk about interrupt. Interrupt in the sense that you interrupt the way currently IT is behaving. But I think I have given any more questions?
Yes. Samuel is asking, is
The truth, some of the artificial intelligence activities are already happening in the car. For example, currently in some brands, the bigger brands, where they collect the behavior of the driver, they collect the behavior of the vehicle, they also collect the engine detail or the or the wear and tear of the vehicle, and they use it for many other purposes. They analyze it. They sometimes even train the driver. For example, one driver is doing a rash driving, and it consumes a lot of fuel, for example. Then we can also teach that driver, Mr. Driver, you are doing a very rash driving. Don't do that. In order to have a fuel economy, you need to drive this way. Things like that. So AI is already happening. But whether it is completely autonomous at this point in time is something I cannot answer now, because some experiments are going on. There are autonomous vehicle, manufactured in US, and they are testing it. There are a couple of tests, they failed. They are improving it, and I'm sure that autonomous vehicle will be one of the transportation system for us, in future.
Thank you. And I think it's the last question. And dear participants, if you have any other questions, you can post it and it will be answered through the email. Now, I will combine the questions asked by Priyanka and one more person. How far robotics teaching is useful, and how it is useful for accounting also? They are asking about robotics. And the another question is whether there will be any impact on the accounting field. This is the question they are asking. Can you answer this?
Okay. See, first of all, robotic field itself is threat for some of the department, but it is not really theft per se. For example, robotic activities are already happening in finance. For instance, RPA can currently do some of the standard settlements. If a company is receiving, let's say that 200 employees bill from telephone company, to reconcile, to go through all the 200 files, 200 invoices, to settle that amount in finance is a tedious task. But the RPA can do within within minutes. What it can do, it can scan all your invoices, understand, because your invoice is going to be a standard invoice if you are going to get from either government or from any other standard entities. So what would happen is it does the scan all at one time, read it, transform that value, and pick up that value and transform that value from the paper to your ERP. and it is currently feasible, and they are doing it. But when it comes to a real accounting terms, that is, if a human thinking is required, where it is not logically possible to apply to a robotic, and those things will be remain with the human. But the rest of things, anything which you can define within a logic, and you can pass on that instruction to the robotic can still do. So currently this is on, and in many companies they are using RPA in finance.
Yeah, thank you. And if you don't mind, I think it's an important question. We can finish with this question. Praveen Sam Manuel is asking how to equip people with technologies in the right way. I think for academicians it will be useful, and most of the academicians, they are in the online, and in this COVID-19, the lockdown period, and we use a lot of technologies, as you said, and we are the technological people now. So he is asking the question, how to equip people with the technologies in the right way. With this, we can also end. You can give some insights, then it will be useful for our participants.
Okay, I think it's a good question. I mean, it's a question which we can debate for a long time, but COVID has done, some very bad thing, but some good things also. Very bad thing, yes, it kills people. For people who are aged about 50, who have some chronic problems, they will get affected, they will get killed. And it is transforming from one place to another, from one man to one human to another human, due to the because of the droplets and so on. I'm not going too deep on that, but it has also brought in some good things. One is people are now spending more time with family. People who are running all over the place, people will always spend more time outside compared to spending time with the family. So corona has brought in a way that it is basically teaching human guys, spend time with your family. So that's one thing, one good thing is happening. And the second good thing is in technology. People, I mean, who knows? I mean, today we are doing this Google Meet in in a digital platform. We are all as per your motto, Inayathal Inaivom. So this is possible only because the COVID has created an opportunity for us to use the technology. But I think it is individuals' responsibility to use the technology effectively. There are people who use the technology in a wrong way, and we all know that. I mean, in half of the Facebook, you know that this is all crap. People are using in a wrong way. But technology point of view, technology is common for good people and bad people. Now, how do we control the bad people? This is something to do with the governance, controlling policies and etc. etc. For good people, they can do many things. Particularly for education field, it can do lot of things. I think by this opportunity, most of the colleges, schools, they will know that how we can make use of technology very well. In fact, they can, instead of conducting extra classes and etc. during the during the exam time, this is one of the tools that can be used right from the home. Teachers can deliver, and professors and assistant professors, they can deliver from home, and people can receive that delivery. They can also ask questions, they can do interactive sessions and so on. So technology per se, to make the people to work, it is how they are using the technology is important, whether they are using it in a right way or wrong way. But technology is common, it is available, it's for us to use. We can use it up to the level what we want. There are some connectivity issues that we are experiencing in India, I guess. But I think over a period of time, this will be also sorted out. So we are on it.
Thank you so much. Really, it was very interesting and innovative thoughts, and we are really impressed of your presentation. and we are really grateful. I think our participants and our academicians and the students, they have received a lot of ideas and innovative insights for their future. So now I invite Mrs. Pravina to propose the vote of thanks, and there is no words to express also our thanks, and it's a great help for us. Now I welcome Mrs. Pravina to propose the vote of thanks.
Yes, I'll take this opportunity to thank everyone. First, I would like to thank Mr. Sahayam for sharing such a great things to us. This session is very useful for us. Thank you, sir, for sharing your valuable time with us. I'll thank our father who have arranged this informative session. I would like to thank our management, and I would also like to thank the listeners for your participation. Once again, thank you all.
Okay, let me thank from my side Reverend Father Dr. Adakalam and the other dignitaries there in the college, and the management staffs, people who attended this session. And I'm sure that this will be helpful one way or the other. That will put to your thinking in forward thinking in terms of implementing a digital transformation in your area as appropriate, because this is common. You can apply it in every department, every human, every family. You can do it. So I thank to given an opportunity, and thank once again. And the concept was fantastic, Father. Inayathal Inaivom.
Thanks.
The concept
Thank
is
you, sir.
wonderful.
Thank you.
And and all credit goes to Punitha Valanar Kalluri. Thank you. Father, your last speech is not audible.
Father, thank you, Father. This is a wonderful session. This is Felix from video. Father.
Yes.
Father.